Good afternoon, everybody. A very happy hello to you all. My name is Stacey Marsh, and this week I'm going to be sharing with you the start of our new weekly online card class for the month of June. I'm a demonstrator for the United Kingdom. I'm a demonstrator in the United Kingdom, and I'm also a member of the 2025 Artisan Design team for Stampin' Up. So in this month, where I'm going to be sharing card designs with you, all created using the Adventure Together stamp set and die bundle. This set features as an online exclusive product, and you can find that information at staceymarsh.co.uk. Just click on shop and then search for Adventure Together, and you'll see the products listed on the website there to purchase. Over the next 4 weeks, I'm going to share with you different designs and different techniques. And for those of you that are crafting along at home, in your kits, you will have everything that you need apart from your stamped images. Each week, the designs will differ ever so slightly, and you may see a few extra products added in along the way. Everything that I've used can be purchased from my online store, and the link to that is above and below in the description of the video. So this stamp set is a cling stamp set, meaning that is the red rubber style stamps. There are 8 stamps in the set, and it's a combination of line drawn images, background images, sentiments, and the solid trees down the bottom as well. This is a great set for scrapbooking. Lots of people that go camping or that like nature, this is a really nice set to use. And actually, I was originally drawn to this set because of the truck, but I've since changed, and my favourite images are these 2 trees, and you'll see them used a lot over the next 4 weeks. There is a set of dies that coordinate with this bundle, and you can see mine have been very well used. And if you've had a peek in your kits already, you will see there are lots of die cut pieces for us to use. So you have some framelit dies that go around the truck, dies that go around the trees, dies that go around the chair and the fire pit. Then you don't have any dies for these 3 images. They're not necessarily needed, but you've got some add-on dies. So here you have what I would describe as a leaf edge, sorry, not a leaf, a grass edge border die. You have a solid rectangle die, and I'm going to show you a really clever use for that in week number 3. You have this nice texture looking die. You have another shape. You have one that cuts out the door, which is here, and you have one that cuts out the wheels. So there's lots of different options in this set, and it really is one that's fun to play along with or play around with. So let's pop those to one side where I'm not going to lose them. And I'll give you a quick little sneak peek of the cards we're going to be making over the next 4 weeks. So for card number 1, I have shared with you a really bright card. I'm going to show you my favourite technique for colouring in the camper van. I've added in the little texture die, and we're doing some background stamping as well. Now, I am really enjoying the colour red at the moment in my crafting. I'm really enjoying the vibrancy of it, and I wanted to bring this alive with this set as well. It does remind me of McDonald's colours though, the red and the yellow. Week number 2, we move on to something a little bit more subtle, and I'm going to share with you a fun layering technique with the trees. Week number 3 is, as always, my favourite card, and I'm going to show you a nice little effect to get your truck moving. And I've used my favourite Everyday Arches dies, and I couldn't not finish with a fun fold card, and this is week number 4. So I'm looking forward to sharing those with you over the next 4 weeks. But we are here for week 1, so let's make a start with our first card of June. In your kit, you have everything that you need. You have a card base that has been cut from Poppy Parade Red. Then you have a layer of 2-tone cardstock. You'll notice it's a bit thinner, and if you look closely, it is lighter on one side than the other, hence the name 2-tone. So on one side you have what's called a sort of true colour, although there is a slight difference between 2-tone cardstock and the coloured cardstock. And on the other side it's a shade lighter. So this is a really fun product that's new for Stampin' Up. They are available in every single colour family, and you can also purchase them in bundles of colours as well. You have a sheet of white card that is going to be for the centre of the insert in the card. You have a small Everyday Arch shape. I'm going to just take that white piece out so you can see that. A small everyday arch shape. You have your texture die strip. You have an extra banner die. You have a door. And then you have a piece of card that has the corner cut on it. Now, this is something that I learned from a good friend of mine recently. When she adds cardstock to her kits that is for stamping, she just cuts off the corner. So if you see an item that's got the corner cut off in the kit, you know that is just for your stamping. And there will be a piece in each and every kit that you have. You will also have a piece of this very vanilla and black gingham ribbon, which is actually listed on the last chance list, but I just love it. I really, really love this ribbon. I'm quite sad that it's being discontinued. In your kits as well, in week 1, you'll also have a strip of these lovely gold textured adhesive back dots. Again, these are listed on the last chance list, so you can pick up more currently at a discount. Products on the last chance list are there until they sell out. So if you do have your eye on something, make sure you order it when you see it, because you don't want to run the risk of it selling out and being discontinued. And once items are sold out on that list, they then move to being discontinued. So once they're gone, they're gone. So let's put some pieces to one side, and I'm going to start with my card base, I think. Let me move one of these pieces over there, and I just want to grab a piece of scrap paper. Because we're going to be doing some ink blending. Okay, so to start us off, I'm going to use the piece of two-tone card, and you want to decide which shade you want to use. Now, I like to use this shade here. It's what I would call a sort of pinky coloured red. We're going to use that side. And I'm going to start with my sentiment that says, let the adventure begin. Now, the sentiments in this stamp set are great for people that you know that like going on adventures. They aren't necessarily great for greetings cards, for birthday cards. So feel free, if you want to turn these into greetings cards, birthday cards, sorry, feel free to swap out the sentiments. Now I'm going to start with my Poppy Parade ink pad, and I am going to stamp my sentiment, let the adventure to begin, randomly over this card front. So I've stamped it twice without re-inking between. You get, again, more tone of that lovely colour. Let's put this one down here. And just be mindful of where your feature is going to be. So my feature is going to be mainly here. So I want to feel that I'm putting it sort of in the areas where the decoration isn't going to be. I'm going to keep my Poppy Parade ink pad open, and this is where I'm going to add a little bit more colour to this piece of card. I want it to slowly, sort of gently match with the card base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Poppy Parade ink pad and my blending brush and just go around the edge of that piece of card. I had a good sort out of my craft room this week, and I found some treasure, and one of them was these post-it notes, which I really miss the small pack of square grid paper that we used to have when we had the Stamparatus, the stamping platform. I've only got a few sheets left, so I'm using it sparingly, but I found these post-it notes and I thought they would do just the trick. I think I picked them up in a supermarket for a silly price, and I'm quite precious about my grid paper. So that's me gone round my piece of two-tone cardstock, and you can see I've left a little central area where there's no colour, and it just gives the idea of a highlight in the middle. Nice little technique. And if you followed me for a while, you will know how much I enjoy my ink blending. Now I'm going to add a little bit of speckling to this, and I'm going to do that with a dark basic black stamping blend. I do need to let you know, repeat use of this technique will actually split the nib of your blend. So if you don't want to do that, then please don't do this technique. Just use a water painter and some ink from a black refill. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push the nib against the lid and towards the card, and that's going to give me just a little bit of speckling. But yes, like I said, don't do that if you don't want your blends to become damaged over time. So that is basically my background, and when you now put that on the card, it is less of a stark contrast between the card base and the two-tone cardstock. So it's just a nice matching technique that you can use. So I can now stick this piece onto my card front. Just make sure it's up the right way, and it is. Like so. There we go. And that is my card base all prepped. We can now work on the decoration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my piece of scrap white card that is going to be used for my stamping. And all of my images, my line drawn images, are stamped with Memento ink. So our black ink pad. And actually on this card, all that I've got there, my line drawn image, is the truck. So let's stamp the truck. And then I'm also going to stamp my tree as well here. So the trees, I'm just using the big tree, and I'm stamping in Old Olive, which is the green shade from the Regals product range. And I've actually given you more cardstock than you need for these images for your stamping. I have a play. You'll notice that my Old Olive ink pad probably could do with a re-inking, but I really like it when you get sort of texture, sort of, you know, when your ink pad, part of it is running out and part of it isn't, and you get a little bit of a texture in your stamping. I really like that. So I'm not necessarily in a hurry to re-ink my ink pads, but when they start to look like this and it's not a consistent coloured image, that's when it's time to refill your ink pads. So, excuse me, I am going to do a little bit of colouring now, and I'm going to colour my images with stamping blends. Stamping blends are alcohol-based markers, so they blend really nicely together. I'm going to keep my truck in the red colour, and I'm starting with the light shade, the light tone. So these blends come in a pack of 2. They come in what's called a combo pack, and you get 2 pens, and you get a light tone and a dark tone. And the idea of those is that they work together to blend, just to give you a really nice varied looking image. They're great for building up shadows and tone. And they've been around for quite a few years now, and they are a staple product in my craft room. Okay. Just colouring this in. So what I like to do is I like to add a layer of the light shade first, and then using the dark pen, and I'm using the fine tip, I am just going to add a little bit of shadowing. And this won't look great to start with, but it's one of those techniques that you just have to trust the process. And I don't normally like that term, but with colouring, it's very apt. Go back over now, and you just want to blend this together. There we go. And then we have the canopy. I'm just going to let the dog in. Come on then. You getting in? So now with the canopy, I'm just going to alternate the colours here. Oh, I've gone over the lines on one of these. And it's one of those images, it does take a bit of time to colour. I enjoy colouring, I do. Now I'm using Lost Lagoon. Oh, this is dark and I want light. Lost Lagoon in there. Lost Lagoon in the wheels. And I want Lost Lagoon on the canopy. Oh look, I've gone wrong. I've got two together. Never mind. Because I was concentrating on that bit that I'd gone over the lines with. Okay, so once I've done that, I've got the grass to do here, and you'll notice that I haven't coloured the door, and that's because we're going to colour the door up with the dye. You can just colour the door though, it looks just as nice. A little bit of smoky slate now for the detailing on the truck, and then to finish off, a bit of black for the wheels, the tyres even. Okay, so there is that, and then I can attach my door. And you can line it up with the door handle and the window. Ooh. There we go. So that is my finished truck. Now what I need to do is die cut that out. So I knew there was a reason I'd left the dies out. And let me die cut that first. And I'm also going to die cut the trees while we're here as well. These images are fairly straightforward to cut out if you don't have the dies. The reason I bought the dies is because I loved all the little add-on things. It does remind me of a little fire truck now that it's red. So there is my truck and my trees. Okay, so I have my trees and I need to just pop that little die up there. Let's take that away because we don't need that anymore, and we can now start to think about building our card. So I have my arch die, so I'm going to stick that down, and I'm going to stick that down with some foam pads. You will probably use more than me. I am quite frugal with my foam pads. And I want to stick that down roughly about there. I don't want to cover up all my stamping. And it's definitely over towards one side. Now, before we do anything else, I am going to add a little bit more speckling because I love it. But again, please be mindful of your blends when you do this. I'll just add a little bit like so. Okay. Now, when you take this piece here, your grey strip, pop out all the stubborn pieces, the pieces that are still left in there. And I've cut this from a piece of card that's 2.5 centimetres wide. So you may want to cut it down a little bit. You may want to leave it the width that it is. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this into an arrow like so. You see that? And then again with the back end of it, trim it so it's got a tail like that. Okay, just be mindful that you're not going to see a huge amount of this. And then you can stick that down. And stick that down, just use a little bit of glue, quite sparingly. And I'm sticking that down so that it goes off, it goes past the white arch. Okay, like so. Once we've done that, I can stick my truck down. Again, it's going down with some foam pads. Before I do that, actually, I want to stick this tree down. So just pop that down, hold it in place, and then you can pop the truck on. There you go. The other tree is going to sit behind that one. So that is going to get tucked just in there. Like so. And then I've got 2 things left to do. Well, I've got 3 things left to do. I've got my ribbon to do, I've got my banner, and I've got my gems. And then we've just got to do that insert. So 4 things. I can't count today. So for the banner, you want to take this little die cut piece, and we're going to stamp the sentiment that we stamped in the background. Let the adventure begin. We're going to stamp that with Memento ink into that banner. Oh, sorry about that. Just knocked the camera with my glass. Now, before we stick this down, we want to do our ribbon. So you'll notice the ribbon in your kit is actually a different width to the ribbon on the card. And what I've actually done is I have cut the ribbon in half lengthways to just make it a bit smaller. So you want to do that with yours. You want to cut it lengthways to make it turn it in half, and then onto the back of your banner you want to stick your piece of ribbon. So I've folded mine over 3 times, and I now want to stick that to the back of my ribbon, back of my banner. So take a piece of double-sided tape like so, and you want to just stick that down to the back of your banner, so you have something that looks like this. That can then just be stuck onto your card like that. And I'm going to use a dimensional, but I'm actually going to put my dimensional here. So there's one between there and there, so that needs to get stuck down, and then I want one here. There we are. So that is my banner done. All that I've got left to do is a couple of gems. So these are the gold textured adhesive backed dots. Let's put a couple of these onto the card. I'm just going to stick that to there. I've noticed that just lifted a little bit, so that's better. That's now in place. And then for the inside of the card, I'm going to take my piece of card, bring in my scruffy grid paper. You'll see this next week. I will try and film all my videos in succession this time because I have some time to do that. And I will use the same backing piece. Put one tree there, and I'm just going to lower that one down a bit, like so. And this piece can get stuck into the card. And there we have it. That is card number 1 of June's card class, all finished. Do let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, once you've made your card, feel free to share that back with me online. And you can do that either in my Facebook group, or you can do that by tagging me on social media with @StampingWithStaceyMarsh. Have a great week, everyone, and I will see you all at 2 o'clock next Thursday to make card number 2, which looks a little bit like this. Okay, see you then, everyone. Bye for now.